Welcome to the Golf Coach Podcast. How you going, brother?
I'm good, mate. I'm on fire. On fire.
On fire? Are you on fire because you're living in sunny Queensland and it's nice and warm, or are you on fire?
I tell you what, it's a very, very different experience. I'm still wrapping my head around how. It's so stable. Like it rains, obviously, and you get your subtropical thunderstorms in the summertime, but. I mean, the weatherman it's the most overrated job in the world up here. It's like, it's going to be like 29, 30 degrees every day. You know what I mean? Right. And where I come from, obviously down in Melbourne, like it just couldn't be any more different. Like one day it could be 40 and the next it could literally be 17. So it's just so stable. You just can predict everything. And it's fantastic. Like I'm already watching the temperatures drop in Melbourne and very much appreciating that I'm up here now.
Yeah, I know. I can tell you're happy with it too. Like when you hear people and you say to them, how was your move? Hey, how's things going? And when I do talk to you and I always ask you how it's going, I can genuinely feel it and see it that you're like, this guy's not just saying it because he has to say that he's moving to a new place. This guy is genuinely freaking happy about being in his new location. So today on the podcast, we've got Baden Schaff, El Presidente, as he calls himself, of the Skillest app, co-founder as well. Mate, when you've been to sunny Queensland, can you share a little bit about me? Whereabouts are you? Are you been hanging out with Grant Field? Well, what's been going on?
Yeah, probably be able to see Grant a little bit. One of the reasons I moved up here, it was a good excuse. I mean, obviously, Skillest is my full-time job, but I was supposed to be teaching with Grant at Pelican Waters. Like they've done They've done like $160 million redevelopment, but there's not any coaching really going on there at the moment just because like they're effectively like 18 months behind, to be perfectly honest, on everything that they've done there. But I went down there the other day. It looks absolutely unbelievable. Like it's world class. It's going to be arguably the best facility in the country. So hopefully we're just a month or so away from, around about that from starting to teach. I'm not going to be teaching much. Like I don't have time to teach much, but like one day a week or something like that, it'd be great to, get the skills going in because like this is easily the longest break I've had from coaching in 20 years. So that's great. And it's good. I live right on Perigian Springs Golf Course, which is actually where Dom Azzopardi is obviously one of the friends of the podcast. And
a friend of mine.
Yeah. And Lucas Herbert, he's hitting balls about sort of 300 metres away from me out the back on the driving range at the moment. I think Dom and he are grinding away before, obviously, everyone heads down to live next week, which is, Herbie and Cam, obviously are Ripper GC boys. So, it's absolutely fantastic, mate. And it's great for me up here as well because, like, the sun comes up so early, which works perfectly for Skillest because I can start my Zooms at 5:36 in the morning and, it's the middle of the day in America sort of thing. So it's great.
I tell you what, I always talk about, surrounding yourself in good environments. And I think when people talk, like I talked to, Jerome the other day, right?
Yep.
From Belgium, PGA Tour coach, live coach on all the tours. And he says to me, oh, yeah, so do you get to go see so-and-so? I go, not really. Like I try to explain to him, I said to him, I live in X. For me to get to Melbourne, it's 11-hour drive. Well, 9.5-hour drive. It's not, people think of Australia like, so the opportunities of like when you might be living in London, there's a lot of great golf coaches around, or you're living in a place in Australia, we're not that close to each other, or the top ranked coaches, right? And you've been lucky enough, obviously you're mentored by, Gary Edwin, and now you're going to be surrounded in Grant Field's presence as well, who coaches Cam Smith and lots of tour players like Wade Ormsby and lots of players, right? And probably one of the best short game guys out there. And you're going to be getting coached next to him. So that's pretty cool.
It is. I feel privileged. I really do. And and you'll have to come up and have a look at the facility. It's just going to absolutely blow you away. And Grant, literally, he has made a tailor-made short game facility, which is just like world class. But it's great. You're right. You got to surround yourself with the best people. And Grant and I get on like a house on fire sort of thing. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Have you met Grant in person? He's just such a great guy.
Yeah.
And
I don't know anyone who wouldn't get along with Grant.
Well, that's the thing. He's so laconic. You know what I mean? Like he's a Caloundra boy. Like he was literally born 2 kilometres, 2 miles from Pelican Waters. So he's sort of, he's a sunshine Coast boy from day dot, and he still has that about him. So yeah, no, it's an absolute pleasure. I'm really looking forward to getting back to coaching. To be perfectly honest, after 20 years of doing it, I was 100% ready for a break, just to like get away. Because as much as we love it, you know how when you do love it, sometimes that's what makes it hard, because you put your life and your heart and soul into it, and it's exhausting. Like what it's like. Some people say, "Oh, you're a golf coach. You just you must have a ball just being on the golf course all day." But like it's couldn't be more different from walking around a golf course and hitting golf balls all day. It's more standing there for 9 hours at a time and putting your life and soul, heart and soul into each lesson. It's, my God, after 20 years, ready for a break, but I'm now ready to get right back into it.
It is true. And I've actually made a promise this year to myself in 2024 to make sure that the other aspects in my life outside of golf, I'm still giving it what it needs. You know what I mean? Like I'm still giving it the thriving, because I don't want to be that non-existent parent, even though I'm there physically. You know what I mean? Because when you say life, because when people come to our teaching team or we're working with the top players or whoever it is, right, we all understand how important the game of golf is to that person, right? People have booked in or driven in or subscribed and come to see you and downloaded an app because they want to hang out with you. And you don't treat them lightly, and then you're also so process driven and you're thinking all the time. Like it is, and you get emotionally attached. It's hard, and it's important to have those things outside of golf. Otherwise, I truly do believe in coaches burnout. Like I truly do believe it can be a possibility.
Oh my God!
Hey, before we get into the golf, talk about a little bit about cricket. What do you think about Cam Green opening?
Well, he's not opening.
No, so he's coming in number three. Number
4. He's batting at 4.
Oh, behind Labuschagne. Behind Labuschagne. That's right.
Labuschagne's at 3 still. Green's at 4. I love it. I'm the biggest Cam Green fan on the face of the earth. Like, I just absolutely think he's going, in 15 years when his career is done, he'll arguably be the greatest cricketer we've ever created.
Wow.
He's an absolute superstar. Like, he's still only 23, and look at him in the field as well. Like, in the gully, he's arguably the best catcher in world cricket at the moment at 6'6" or 6'7" as well. So, no, it's great. Like, there's some really, I don't know if you've been watching the IPL, that is just going absolutely bananas. Like, I've been watching every, on KO, I don't know if you've got KO, but they do KO minis, and they condense an IPL game, which is already a condensed version of cricket, into 18 minutes, and what is going on there? Like the other night, I don't know if you saw, but Travis Head scored, what was it, 102 of 37 7 deliveries, and the team made 265 off 20 overs. It's just, the game is changing. And the thing that I'm really excited about, and we could probably talk about this in a few weeks when we announce something, more official, but we're doing a little bit in cricket. I've actually got a meeting this afternoon with a very famous former Australian fast bowler, and I've had some incredible conversations with one of the best players in the IPL recently, and there's some cool stuff happening there, definitely. But something that I'm really excited about is what's happening in American cricket. Did
you watch the Masters? Did you get to catch much of the Masters?
I did. You can't help but watch pretty much all of it. I think.
What do you think? What do you think?
It wasn't my favourite Masters, and sometimes a bit of that is, it's a little intangible. I don't know whether it's because, Scotty was just so obviously going to win the whole time. I was sort of in denial, hoping it wasn't going to happen. Not because I don't like Scotty. I think he's a freak of nature, obviously, but I don't know, he's a little bit dull, And even the whole leaderboard was a little bit dull, wasn't it? It wasn't, don't get me wrong, Ludwig Aubert is a machine, and I love his golf swing. It's obviously very repeatable and very direct, but I don't know, is this...
I tell you what I think. I agree with you, right, when you're saying that, and I think, Scotty Scheffler's getting a little bit of a hard time for not having a charismatic personality. He wasn't born with it, but all he can do is win golf tournaments, which he's doing a very good job of. Yeah. But one thing I will say is about the Masters that's just gone, 2024 Masters, is we're used to seeing the back nine, right, just guys go on birdie streaks, like birdie 13, 15, or eagle 15, stump it on 16, then get up 17, and then you could generally see like a 30 on the back nine. Like coming home hot. I think the weather played a big role in not having it, and maybe they've made the course a little too hard because we didn't see that. Like never before in a Masters do you see people start going backwards. Usually they like get to the back nine. It's like, and I even saw a stat they put up about Adberg, whatever. They were saying that his front nine, when he got to the back nine, he was like 10 under the front, 3 over for the back for the whole tournament. Yeah, when he got to the 10th hole, they were talking about that when he hit him 1 into 10. And I just thought they've really, I don't know if they've changed the course, made it harder or longer, and the way they tricked it up, or it was the weather, but we didn't see that guy come back from 4 back because we just saw a Tiger-esque type of situation there where everyone was on a treadmill going backwards and one guy was going forward.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I think there were only 8 guys under par in the end, which is unbelievably unusual for the
Bryson shot 7 first. If Bryson just parred the last 3 rounds, he would have finished tight.
Yeah, totally. But how good... I mean, that back nine, what a golf course. You know what I mean? That back nine is just, it's got to be the best, back nine.
You been?
No, never been. Really got to go. Oh, my God, got to go. I was, Luda was there, Luda was, he was coaching. He's actually, we're talking about David Luteris here, who is one of my co-hosts on my podcast. He was actually coaching. He was coaching the, what's his name? The guy that's in finance, he's an amateur, but he keeps making all these majors. What's his name? Bloody hell. Stu.
No way.
Hager. Well, hold on. I'll try and find it here. Stu Hagergard or something. Anyway, he's literally in finance, like up in New York. This guy's like a millionaire, but he's an absolute flusher. And he keeps making majors. And Luda knows him really well and was coaching him at the Masters. So Luda literally had his official badge and was behind the ropes and everything for the whole event. So, but anyway, but it's mate, we'll have to do it.
David Luteris is a Masters coach.
Yeah,
a coach at the Masters. That's like most golf coaches' dreams, and David Luteris just the man, the myth.
Strong in there, exactly. He's I think he'll probably do a lot more of it as well. Like Luda's got that incredible thing where, I mean, he's a bloody great bloke. He sort of has a gravitational pull around him, and he was a really good player. Like, when you're as good a player as he was, and he's still, he plays like +6 or 7 still at Kooyonga. Tour players love that, I think. You know what I mean? Like, if they can sort of work with someone that really knows their stuff, which Luda really does. Over the past 10 years, he spent a lot of time thinking about the golf swing, and, he says himself he probably learnt too many different methods himself, but it's helped him understand how to teach. I think that combination with him, having played on, the PGA Tour himself as a kid, like, I don't know, I think he might do quite a lot of tour coaching in the coming years. And that's what he wants to do. Like, if you ask him what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do.
Oh, that's cool. That's exciting. Well, David Luteris, great player. He's got stories, obviously playing with the world's best golfers, and he lives a bit of a jet setting life, that's for sure. Tell me, actually, before we tie a little bow on golf, I want to talk to you about Skillest. I don't know how much you want to say or how little you want to say, but what about Viktor Hovland this year?
Well, he's what he is he's that student that you've taught and I've taught and we've all taught. He's a searcher. Like, I know guys that I've given lessons to that have hit the ball the best they've ever hit it in front of me. They go and score the best they've ever scored, but then they go and look for something else. You know what I mean? Like, there's that. I mean, Tiger even had that about him a little bit, didn't he? Like, Tiger had four reconstructions of his golf swing, over the years, from Butch to Haney to Foles and then on to Como. He probably did, some of them were major reconstructions, some of them were minor reconstructions, but it's, we've all taught that guy, and you've taught those guys on Skillest who, like, they just, like, even when the information's incredible, this is why, as a golf coach, you have to be, like, so prepared to, like, not just swallow your ego, but you can't be offended. You just can't be offended when people go and see other coaches or go on to other things. I know we do it so much. You know, we all get, oh my God, I thought we were getting good results and I thought that was going well. You are never, ever, ever going to be able to change people's that human behaviour of I want more, I want another opinion, and it's not even that they might think you are the greatest golf coach in the world, but they're still going to go searching. So, I mean, yeah, he's a searcher, and it's a shame. But I think that obviously what happened with Joe, like, Joe is Joe Mayer, exactly.
Well, so Joe Mayer,
who's arguably, I mean, he's a little bit. Yeah, I don't know if I want to use the word savant, but like
I think you could say out there. Just say out. I'd say he's out there.
Savant might even be the right word in that he is, he's a track man. He's a bit of a genius, I suppose, in certain ways. Whether or not you 100% agree with him, he's incredibly articulate at arguing his point, and he has a huge ego, which is completely fine. And when I say ego, I don't necessarily mean arrogant at all. What I mean is he has a really strong opinion and a really strong sense of who he is. So I'm not saying he's arrogant. I'm saying he has a very strong sense of self and what he believes, and that creates a lot of conflict. You know what I mean? Because when you've got a very strong sense of who you are, you just run around bumping into people who don't agree with you, and you just end up arguing all the time. So that would be, as a player, like having Joe as my coach, unbelievably distracting, I would imagine. Don't you think? Like that would be,
yes. I would yes. I would agree with. So what we're saying here about Viktor Hovland, 2023 was not definitely, I could probably say for a period of time there, especially through the Ryder Cup, that stage, he was the hottest player on the planet.
Yeah, well, he won the Tour Championship, didn't he? He
won the Players too.
Yeah, well, did he win the Players? No, he won the Tour Championship in Atlanta. It was
the Tour Championship, so I was thinking of.
Yeah. At the end of the year. So he won the FedEx. He won the FedEx. So.
Yeah, he did, won everything, and then, he was, I don't know where Scotty stood at this stage, but Viktor Hovland was one of the hottest players on the planet for sure. He, dominated the Ryder Cup too, just played so well, and all of a sudden he's just now, watch this year, I think he's made most of his cuts bar the Masters, but he hasn't finished anything higher than like 26. And it's been a bit of a fall for someone who wasn't finishing outside of the top 5, right? So, but it's interesting in kind of perspective there where we talk about coaching, right, is that maybe the player, you mentioned there about not getting hurt, about a player moving on, but we can also use the term there like there's more to coaching than just knowing a few things too, potentially as well. Or maybe people are looking more for a coach, I should say, than just the information as well. There can be more stuff out there that players need to play their best golf. And once again, we're not trying to take pot shots or anything like that at all, but it's just an interesting case study, and for people in golf, like when we're watching and seeing, and people go up and down, and we always want to work out why. It's no different to like when you're watching your favourite team and they lose. Why did they lose? Or you look at, they missed more tackles, or they didn't complete their sets, or they gave too many penalties away, whatever it is. You're always trying to work that out. But when I actually was thinking about it, and you talked there about Tiger, do you think Tiger would have won more majors if he just stayed with Butch or just stayed with Hank?
No, not necessarily. I don't know. Who knows?
The trajectory he was on, I'd have to look at the numbers. I heard he won more at Hank than he did with Butch. Not saying that Butch is a better coach or whatever like that, but I just wonder if, like, I've been reflecting on Tiger's career, seeing Viktor go get all this new information from different coaches all the time. And I've been reflecting on Tiger's career, and I've just been contemplating if Tiger was to stay.
I think he would have won more majors if he had have looked after his body the right way, probably. You know what I mean? I think that was probably the limiting factor more than, like, the coaching or anything like that. I think that, have you read The Big Miss? Have you read Hank Haney's The Big Miss?
No, but I literally got told about it like 2 days ago.
Oh, God, you have got to, like, this afternoon. Just go on to Amazon and order that immediately. It's like, I think it's ranked in, like, the top 5 sports books ever written. Sort of thing.
Someone literally told me 2 days ago about it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, go on. What does Hank say?
Well, Hank, Hank's, he's a pretty unashamed, like, commercialisation beast. You know what I mean? He's pretty happy
I know,
to
it's all on YouTube and shit.
yeah. He's pretty happy to say anything to make some cash, which is
I would agree.
yeah, he's so you've got to take everything in the book with a grain of salt, I would say, because it's like Tiger and Steve Williams were completely filthy at him for like writing the book, so which is what makes it so good, like so juicy. But look, he talks about like some really interesting like habits that Tiger had of like. He was literally at one stage going to join the military. Like halfway through his career, he was thinking about giving up golf, and he was training like a Navy SEAL with the Navy SEALs and doing all of these non-golf specific, workouts and like heaps. I mean, look at him now. Like he's just an animal. If you look at the side, like if you look at him now compared to what he was when he was not, sinewy and in 1997. But look. I mean, the thing is, it's called the Big Miss, right? For a few, it's like a double entendre or whatever.
Yeah,
but like,
yeah.
essentially, the Big Miss is his driver. That's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
And that's why Tiger was always searching as well, right? Because until I reckon he's swinging it as well as he's ever swung it. And I actually had the incredible opportunity. I don't know if I told you this, but I played. When was it? Probably it was in October. In January, at the end of January, with Rob McNamara, who's Tiger's coach and best mate. So
she did tell me. Yeah,
we played at this incredible Gil Hance golf course, which is called the Park down in West Palm Beach down in Florida. And we were talking about how Tiger's swinging at the best he's ever swung it, and probably in 2019. He was probably swinging it the best he's ever swung it. And, it's largely because now he hits a fade and he goes around with his top and he used to go back and hit it over to the right and stuff like that. Anyway, sort of, you just go and read that book. I mean, like, Toby, if you're obsessed with golf, which I know you are, like that book is just an absolute must. Yeah. Anyway. But,
But, like to tie a bow on that, right? And the people would talk about coaches and changing coaches. To me... Viktor Hovland, making that change and what he's done and what we've seen, it's nearly to the same scale if Scotty Scheffler just said tomorrow, I'm splitting with Randy Smith. It'd be like, what the? Wow. It would be so wild. It would be wild. Hey, tell me, right? Obviously, the Skillest president of Skillest, and I guess you're one of the biggest influences, or you are one of the biggest influences in online coaching and how coaching is done online, because you are leading the way with the Skillest app. Can you tell me, I always want to ask you a question, the evolution of the golf coach over the last bit of time, where did it used to be? Where was it even 5 years ago? Where is it now? And where's it going to be?
Yeah, that's a great question, Toby. Look, everything I say, I suppose everything I say, you've also got to, take with a grain of salt as well. It's just my opinion and stuff. And sometimes I over-exaggerate the bad and I don't emphasise the good enough in the way the game used to be taught, if you know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
so what I would mean by that is that, like, when I think about a golf pro from, 10 years ago, look, obviously there's some great ones, but largely, I think about someone who is leaning up against the post in an academy, talking about the weather with their, and sort of just like churning through golfers, in the sausage factory sort of thing, and having a chat to them, working on a little bit of stuff, not capturing anything, not using technology. Great company for an hour, but are we really working on anything here? What are our goals? How are we measuring stuff? Like, I think 10 years ago, that was probably the large majority of coaches. There probably wasn't, there was no measuring, there was no accountability, there was no, no follow-up. And really, I think the thing, that's becoming more and more obvious is that the old model, and that old model, it wasn't built for the student at all. Like, it's built for us. Really, that model, like, of, I'm going to stand right here on this mat and you're going to drive and come and see me. I'm not going to go anywhere and I'm going to make $150 an hour and we're going to talk about the footy and, like talk about a perfect job for a golf coach. Like, for any human being, like you're literally getting paid to stand in one spot and people come to see you. You can like block off times when you want. So I think that all of that is changing. Like coaches are getting, I mean, what's really great obviously is that the coach now is so informed. Like there's young guys out there and, young whippersnappers that they're so informed, I think, these days. Back in my day, right, so I'm 44 in September, right, which is wild. That's unbelievable. That just made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. 44 in September. 23 years ago, sort of when I started, and you used to have to get on an aeroplane to go and see someone that could teach really well. You know what I mean? And now on social, you could sit there for 3 hours and consume the best information in the world, whether it's from, Chris Comer, whether it's from Foles, whether it's from George Gankis or Mark Blackburn or like any of these guys. Now you know exactly how they teach, right? So I would say that the old coach, it was all built for them. They didn't really do much education. They didn't have much exposure to great coaches, and if they wanted it, they'd have to fly around. So, that's probably what the old product was, and now it's changing, obviously. Now the product is very, like what you provide is just the most incredible thing in the world. Like I recently was, signed up to your Skillest account, and I was just like, how bloody good is this as an experience for students? Like, because once I signed up to you, obviously I then became a part of your community, right, your group chat. I got access to your courses that you'd built. So there was one on strength and conditioning and like, this is how my body needs to operate to get better at golf. And then I had access to all of your content on every topic, So if ever I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sculling these bunker shots, I can just jump into your brain, like without you even being there, and I can go through all your content on how to hit a bunker shot. And then I've also got 24-hour access to you to be able to upload footage. And now, with what, this is what is happening at the moment, we're doing a partnership. And I know you work with, Draw More Circles, I think, which is a great platform. But, we've announced our partnership with Arcos, which is the official game tracker of the PGA Tour, and literally is a physical tracker that sits on your golf clubs. So it has GPS tracks everything that happens out on the golf course. You don't need to do anything after the round or anything like that. Now you can have, and what we're doing is a deep integration, right? So your students or any Skillest student will have a set of these Arcos sensors sent out to them. They'll sit in the end of golf clubs. They will play around the golf, and with the integration, you'll get a notification. Hey, David Williams in New York has just finished his round. You'll be able to go in, check out all of his strokes gained. You'll be able to see how he navigated himself around the golf course. You'll be able to see, his club data and like what, strokes gained on which club. You know what I mean? And all of that stuff will be pumped straight into your Skillest account, right? So think about that as a learning experience today compared to 10 years ago, 15 years ago, right? So it's just the greatest experience in the world. So that's sort of today. And then tomorrow is interesting. And, the next 10 years is interesting. I think that, and no doubt, you've done heaps of research yourself on, all the AI that's coming out. And I'm not even just talking about like, obviously, body tracking and stuff like that, but even LLMs and like, you could get to the point with, a really powerful LLM where you're just having a conversation with it like it's you, Toby. You know what I mean? That's the scary thing. Like if you can literally say, hey, I just played my round of golf here. I'm still hitting it out to the right. I feel like my wrists are doing it. And it can literally start talking to you as if it's a human, as if it's the most knowledgeable golf coach in the world and start talking to you. So that's when, and that's what I think we're quite good at Skillest, right, is that what we love is fostering the relationship between coach and student. And so who knows where it goes. I think long-term, a lot of, I was speaking to Lou Stagner. You know who Lou is?
That's me.
Lou's famous stats guy, and he's actually, I think he's like head of data at, I used to say data, Toby, but I've been speaking to so many Americans, I say data now. And he's like flat out said to me like a month or two ago, he's like, oh, the golf coach won't exist in 2 years. Like there'll just be no golf coaches. And I don't necessarily think that's true, because it's kind of like when, remember when TrackMan came out? Everyone's like, oh my God, you're just not even going to need a golf coach. And it made coaches more important. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
actually made someone who can understand the data, super
Yeah.
valuable. And I think that even with all this 3D modeling, whether it is Motion to Coach, whether it is Sportsbox, whether it is on TrackMan, they've now integrated something into what they're doing. I don't know. I still feel like you're definitely going to need that mentor that is like, the bumper bars that keeps you within a framework, can help you understand things, explain things to you. And then the other thing as well is that, well, everyone teaches so differently as well. So, like, you might have like 3D modeling, but like, you know, fundamentally, I think the problem with all the 3D modeling stuff is that like everything's sort of trying to go towards one thing almost. Like, oh, you're
Yeah.
not turning it up, you need to turn more, right? Or you need more width with this, or more fold in your right arm, or whatever it is. And it's like, well, which model is that based on? Like, if you had have given that stuff to Scotty Scheffler as well, like, he'd probably miss the ball.
Mm.
You got him to do all
Yeah.
the stuff, Sportsbox would probably want him to do. So how do you navigate all that stuff as well? Like, so yeah, it's and then you've got the mind, right? Obviously, which there's a couple of things there where students are always going to want. They're going to want someone that they can call on a Saturday afternoon and just go, Toby, I've just played the best round of my life, and it's thanks to you. You know what I mean? They're never going to call
Yeah.
Sportbox and say, thanks for that. That was great, right? But they'll call you, and they'll love that interaction, and then just like keeping their mind right when it comes to actually executing on the
I
golf
think,
course.
yes, and I think, what you're talking about there, right, with the evolution of the golf coach, and obviously I've touched a positive and emotion nerve there of you, because you're so passionate about this, right? Like, about where golf coaching is going, and you're always looking forward and thinking. And I know we've had conversations and tried things, and some things, and this has worked, this hasn't worked, this is working, this might work. But one thing I will say, as golf coaching, and I think we used to have a golf instructor, we get lessons, and I always use the term coaching, not lessons, right?
Yep.
Where what I would say is that the way I see golf coaching going forward, and I even see people trying to build a community or some form of subscription model within their in-person lesson as well. Like, the people are trying to implement this stuff into their own strategies, into their own coaching, is because when Baden says there, of course it suits to have one person come in every hour and take the money and go. But the golf game, I say to people, is so incredibly complex, right? I look at it like if it's an NRL team, you've got your attack, your defense, your outside backs, your middle, your fullback, your halves, and you've got all these different types of components. That's like the golf game, right? You've got bunkers, chipping, putting. You've got so much to cover, right, within this complex game. And within a 1 hour consultation with a student, that can't happen. You know what I mean? You can't cover all that. So if you want to get like a form of coaching, well, you need to build and be a part of what we do, which is like, we can cover the swing technique, then we can talk about your round of golf from the R-course data, or draw more circles, or whatever you're doing. And that's how you get better at the game of golf, not so much just hitting it better at that one time. I think we have to learn that. That's why a tour coach, and I just talked to Dominic Azzopardi, who coached Lucas Herbert. That's why I has to follow him around all the world, right? Because he has to be there, right? And that's the best possible way to do it. And he uses online coaching with Lucas as well. But what we're saying there is that Lucas isn't just flying in, having 1 hour Dom and going, you know what I mean? And leaving him alone. Him and Dom are talking 24/7, right? About golf and golfing. And
that's the perfect example. Like, you couldn't nail a better example there, Toby, is that relationship the two of those guys have got. Like, Dom would be like, you don't have to. You could just look at Lucas's golf swing and know that, wow, they've allowed that thing just to cultivate and mature in its own little space. Like, they haven't tried to turn it into Max Homer, or they haven't tried to turn it into and like, I couldn't. That's the perfect. That relationship is the exact relationship we would love to foster on our platform, I think.
And he just crushes it.
Crushes. they're up there practicing the Sava. I've never seen him hit it in the flesh, so I'm actually going to try and duck up there in a couple of hours and see if they're still hitting balls. I just want to.
It actually makes a difference out. Like it's elite because he compresses
Yeah.
it. Like he compresses it.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
elite.
He's got a fair bit of torque and lag and store. There's like a lot of things exploding at impact there with that golf swing, that's for sure.
Have you got that 12:30 call still?
Yeah. Well, I've got to leave in just like probably 5 to 6 minutes, probably. Anyway.
All right. That's all right. I'll just tell my editor to take that out. All right.
Yeah.
We talk about Lucas, right? Actually, we talk about Lucas. He's like one of the best putters in the whole entire world, right? Absolutely, he is, right? And that's incredible. And you actually talk to Dom about putting, and his eyes just light up. Like he loves putting. He loves tempo talk. He loves the art of putting. Dom loves it. Loves it. He's big. Oh, mate, he's a big Capto nerd. You don't know. Yeah, he's right into it. But that brings us to the one of the supporters of the podcast, the Back to Basics Putting Mirror, which I know that you know, Nick Steiner. Number one putting training aid, I believe, out there that you can put in your golf bag. Support those who support the podcast. TM15 for 15% off for your mirror there. In the Back to Basics putting segment here, Baden, can you give me just a putting tip or something for the viewers or the listeners as well? We have people watching on YouTube. It's actually quite prolific on YouTube. But before you even get into it, I have had a right-sided coach on, friend of yours, Nick Polias, and he actually spoke to me about posture and how you guys take the same alignment. I know you're smiling there because I'm doing the little lead side high there, but he spoke about that and educated me a little bit on and the listeners about what he likes to see. He's a right-sided coach like you as well. What have you got for us? What can you share with me around the putting?
Well, I definitely agree with Nick there. I think probably the big mistake that a lot of people make is that they think when it comes to putting, it should be all level, straight lines sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas we would definitely talk about if you look at Jack Nicklaus' putt, who was one of the greatest putters of all time, like there was nothing level, or even Nick probably would have talked about Brad Faxon, you know what I mean, and getting the Fax had heaps of that, and then heaps of shaft weight. So his left side was way higher than his right, and then he had a little bit of shaft weight like that, not a lot, but just his wrist angles like that. With putting, I mean, what's something good to think about? Something probably that I've learned most recently, or not recently, but how there's always been theories like short back, short through, or long back, short through, or whatever it is, and you want to accelerate through the ball. And I mean, that's now been disproven, I think, largely, is that you don't actually want to accelerate through the ball. You want a constant speed through the ball. You know what I mean? So, which is something I think we've now learned over the last few years. But that's something definitely that I think is really important to know. But I think and this is like the most obvious one and everyone just talks about it, but speed's everything. Speed is just everything. Especially if you can get the ball rolling end over end, that's the thing. When I got the ball rolling end over end, and I think you should always be checking that, right? So if you can get a ball rolling dead set, either use the range balls that have got the line on it, or you put a line on your golf ball. You have got to get really good at seeing that thing roll dead set straight over the top of itself, right? Because when it does that, the ball just goes in. I remember when Luke and Gary's son fixed my putting for the first time, I didn't improve my reads, I didn't improve, anything. The ball just seemed to go in more, and it was because when it's rolling end over end, it just doesn't go offline, and it obviously then rolls at a very consistent speed. Whereas when if you've got a little bit of backspin, it's a little bit off, and and it's not rolling, end over end. There's more friction and things like that. So, I think that working at your speed, and that's all I do when I go and play now, which is very rarely. Although I put my Arcos sensors in and had a go the other day, and I just absolutely loved it. But when I'm out there, I'm just trying to roll it up dead all day long. I'm not thinking.
So you like the speed. When you talk about speed, I was going to ask you that. Everyone has different types of speed they like to see. You like to see it just dying in the front a little bit more. Is that what you're saying, or rolling up dead?
Pretty much, yeah. But I think, definitely. I'm never trying to slam anything in. I feel like when I'm imagining a ball around the hole, I'm imagining it lose all of its energy as it arrives at the hole, right? So it's
Yeah.
losing all of its
Interesting.
energy as it arrives at the hole, sort of thing. So I definitely don't slam things in. There's just no. I think when I think like that, when I don't think about trying to slam it in either, I also slow my stroke becomes smoother and more consistent as well. You
Interesting.
know what I mean? So yeah,
Do you think
that's
when you
one
talk
thing
about
I
it,
found. Yeah.
yeah, when you talk about that end over end there, right? Something that I thought of just when you're talking about that, and it's one that I've used is sticking in my bag there, like a metal ruler. Like a metal ruler,
Yeah.
just an old school one we used to go to Bunnings and, well, whatever you call it,
Oh, yeah.
Costco, wherever you guys are, and put the balls in that little thing there and just get the ball just rolling
Oh,
straight
yeah.
down the metal rule there. So speed
Yeah.
control and rolling end over end. Well,
Totally. Yeah.
I like it. Well, that brings us to the end of the Back to Basics putting segment. TM15, get you 15% off. Support those who support the podcast, Skillest included, obviously. Best putting mirror out there, designed by Grant Field and Richard Woodhouse, used by Cam Smith, and he goes okay. Brings us down to the Back to Basics putting segment. Hey, Baden, it's been great.
Yes.
It's been short. It's been great. I appreciate you coming on. Is there anything you want to share with us, mate?
Not really. Just we would love to have everyone on our platform on Skills. Stay tuned because there's some really cool things coming. When's this getting released? When's the pod getting released?
I can release it whenever you like.
Right, because I was just going to say, like this time, well, Wednesday next week there'll be like the big announcement with like our partnership with Steph Curry's Underrated Golf Tour. So we're the official teaching platform of Steph Curry's Underrated Golf Tour, which is something everyone should have a look at. So we're providing scholarships for. There's about 35 kids that have asked for training. So for anyone that doesn't know what it is,
Tell us.
Steph Curry is just an incredible guy. I've met him a couple of times now, and he is everything you could imagine him to be. He's very, very authentic and very mission-driven, and he's trying to provide equity access for all the kids that otherwise wouldn't have it. And he's created Underrated Golf. So Underrated Golf, it's 5 tournaments in the US, but they're actually doing their very first one in the UK, which I'm flying over for in a month. What they are is it's a tour that is sponsored by KPMG. I think Callaway's involved with United Airways, and it's fully paid for all these kids that otherwise wouldn't have an opportunity to play in high-level tournament. And they're all superstars. They're all really, really good at the game. But anyway,
what's our partnership? What's our partnership with it?
We're providing a scholarship to all the kids that, because now there's a relegation and promotion process now on the tour. Like rather than just saying, okay, if you don't make the top 50 or whatever it is, you're out. We're now providing all the kids that need support with support on it. So there'll be a big announcement next week, and all the coaches will be able to put something out on social. But that's really exciting, and then hopefully long term we can really scale his mission for him, and we can get a whole bunch of kids that would otherwise not feel welcome in the game into the game. That'd be great. Breaking
down the barriers, mate. Baden, appreciate you coming on, mate. And got Live Golf a couple of weeks too. You're not going to go out for that?
I'm not. I've just got to learn. I'm just a bit too flat out. But I would love to go. Are you going?
Nah, well, I just got back from Bali, and my wife's heavily pregnant with our third. So.
Right. I didn't know that. Congratulations.
Number 3 is coming in July. So.
Wow.
I got to get some work done, unfortunately.
You better do some bloody golf lessons, mate.
I know, we've got to get into the groove. But, mate, appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you supporting the podcast. Everyone knows that I'm always talking about Skillest. You're on the ad that's always halfway through the platform here of the podcast. So, mate, you're a legend, and thanks for supporting us, and I'll talk to you soon.
See you, champion.